who is an author. He's the author of the new book, Living Towards Fulfilment. I like that title.
Thank you.
That is very exciting and very fulfilling, for lack of a better word.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you too.
Happy to have you here.
Good to meet you too.
And so let's jump right into what you've done and what it is that you do.
All right.
First of all, tell us a little bit about the book.
Yeah, Living Towards Maximum Fulfillment, it's tested principles from moving towards survival to significance and satisfaction in life. I realized that a lot of people don't really understand their purpose in life. So the book is all about helping you to discover your purpose and helping you to maximize your potential for satisfactory living. So that's what the book is really all about.
So many professionals examine their career in a harder, more critical way as the year runs out.
Okay.
So towards the end of the year, we find a lot of people, trying to figure out their pacing. Have they done well? Has the year, passed me by, so to speak? Most of the time that includes, excuse me, determining whether they should stay loyal to their employers or, start the process of applying to a new job for the incoming new year.
Okay.
And so many people also live their lives every day without purpose. How can people discover fulfillment?
Yeah, like I said earlier, number one, you need to understand your purpose. The question you asked about people, professionals, working with their employers, they are not really satisfied with what they do. And the point is, a lot of people are working and then the reason why they are working is only because they want to survive. The book is beyond survival. You need to understand that the reason why you are working is beyond survival, that you need to really add value to where you are working. And so in case you find yourself working in an environment and then you are not really fulfilled where you are, then you need to ask yourself a question. Is it that you are working in line with your purpose?
And here's another thing. I find that the fulfillment and purpose, people often get them confused with one another. Are they the same thing?
They are not. They are interrelated.
Okay.
Fulfillment and purpose are interrelated. Number one, you need to understand your purpose.
What is the core difference between fulfillment and purpose?
Purpose is actually what you've been created by God to do.
Okay.
While fulfillment is actually you accomplishing that.
I see.
And so you understand, number one, what God has created you to do, that's purpose, and then you accomplishing it, that's fulfillment.
Okay, so in a place of work, when someone has a feeling of unfulfillment, I mean, other than the most common piece of Nigerian advice, pray about it. What else can you do, realistically?
Yeah, realistically. For instance, I was working in an organization before what I'm doing presently.
Yes.
I realized that I wasn't really fulfilled because what I was doing was not basically what my purpose is all about. And so I had to reanalyze what I actually, God has created me to do, my purpose in life. And then I had to make a very defined choice and to live where I am to where God has assigned me to do. And so you need to understand your personal assignment as an individual. So that will give you the decision to either live where you are. Maybe you're working because you want to earn money, or you are working because you really want to add values.
We've seen a lot of people change jobs. You see people changing jobs 7, 8, 9 times. And they're still searching for fulfillment. What can you say is the problem with such a person?
Yeah, the reason why most of them are changing jobs, let's critically analyze the reason. Some of them are changing jobs because of maybe money, and they want higher pay, and some of them are changing jobs because they want to increase their status. But the point is that keeping changing job is not really what is going to give you the fulfillment that you really want. You need to understand, why are you working? A lot of people don't really understand why they are working.
But there are people who will tell you that money is a great reason, it's a great motivator for them to get up and go to work. They don't really care about fulfillment, they're not really thinking about it, but a very good paycheck is all the fulfillment that they could ever get in life. What do you say to someone like that?
Let me start by analyzing, if you understand the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you realize that money, survival. They are just at the bottom. When you check the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need, you realize that self-actualization and transcendence needs, is the uppermost part of the need of man. And it's not money. There's a difference between money and meaning. And so if you have money, so we've seen people with money, we've seen people with a lot of possessions, and yet their life is still empty. And so what's usually help you to move beyond that emptiness is when you really realize that you are adding values to life beyond money. Yeah.
We've seen people that look happy and even look accomplished and fulfilled, and we praise them for what we see, and then later we hear maybe they've committed suicide or something, and we hear that they felt, or maybe they write and leave behind and say they felt, unaccomplished and they felt empty. How are we able to spot unfulfillment to the point of depression?
Yeah, there are 10 lines in between where a lot of people accomplish things. You have possessions, you have positions, you have relationship with others, and you've not gotten to that level of transcendence. That's where a lot of people get stuck. The level of transcendence, you've actualized, you've gotten some personal satisfaction, then you need to move to the last level that Maslow talked about, transcendence made, which means you are helping other people to also become fulfilled. Now, if you get to that very level, you are stuck, you are only, it's more or less like the way God created us as humans. God created us to receive and also to give out. The day you stop giving out carbon dioxide, you are going to give up.
Yes.
You are going to give up. That's why a lot of people get stuck. Most of them are only focused on themselves, and then they are not looking at how to impact other people's lives.
So essentially what you're saying is transcendence means that when I've moved on to that plane, that's when I'm now doing for the good of humanity and no longer about myself.
Exactly. That's what fulfillment is all about. That's what fulfillment is all about. You move beyond the survival mood. Now you are living a life of significance and impacting your world. You see, the truth is that when you are living your life in that level, it will be very hard for you to live a depressed life. I'm not saying that you won't have, sometimes you won't have challenges. But when you see that others are being blessed with your works, you are adding values. Let's take, for instance, Bill Gates. Look at the amount of money Bill Gates has, and look at what he's doing in charity. That is fulfillment. He has not changed. For instance, Warren Buffett has not changed his lifestyle, but he's impacting life with his money. Why? Because they realize that acquiring all these possessions is not the reason why God actually gave them those possessions in the first place.
I'm going to take a line from your book that says, and it struck me different. I quote, "Now you may think you're putting the best into your life right now that you possibly can. You have identified your potential, and to the best of your knowledge, you're living from your sweet spot, yet something still feels missing." What inspired that line?
Yeah, something still feels missing.
Yes.
It's when, for instance, I realize that I've spoken to a lot of people, sometimes accomplished they feel they are. I was talking to above 50 years old man some times ago that came to see me in the office. He lives in a particular area in Lagos, left that environment, came to see me in the office. He had money. His children are going to one of the best schools, but yet his life is still empty. You know why? Because he realized that he has not actually delved into the particular area of the assignment that he feels that he should be doing. A majority of people you feel today, they have good cars, good homes, good job. Some of them, their lives are empty. Their lives are empty. They've not actually spotted what they really need to do for living. In fact, when we finished talking, because he saw my book, and he said he was going to get to see the author of this book. And what inspired, writing about fulfillment. He realized that he's supposed to be doing something at his particular age, but he hasn't done it. And so that's usually.
People often always think that becoming their own boss is the only way to career fulfillment. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, it's partial.
So are you saying that people who are in paid employment and working like a an institution that has like levels and tiers, they don't reach career satisfaction?
They do. It's not about where you work. It's about why you work.
No, but the question is why people think that becoming their own boss is the only way to, or is one of the ways to career fulfillment.
And like I said, if you become your own boss, why do you want to become your own boss? That's what I'm saying. The why is the major aspect of this question. Why do you want to become your own boss? Do you want to become your own boss because you want to make a name? Or do you want to become your own boss because you want to empower people?
Or maybe you just don't want to get out of the house early anymore.
It might be part of it. But if that is the reason because you want to maximize your time, you want to do some other things, which is very good. But that shouldn't be the only reason why you want to become your own boss. A lot of people want to become their own boss. They want to start their own organization just because they want to be able to get more money. And that shouldn't be the reason. Because if that is your reason why you want to be your own boss, you will encounter situations that will make you frustrated. Yeah.
So this is not your first book, I understand. You've written 3 books. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, I wrote You Are Special. Yeah, a guide to positive self-esteem and exceptional living.
Okay.
Why the topic You Are Special? We're living in times, very, very dangerous times and very, very challenging times where a lot of people are battling with identity crisis.
Absolutely.
Identity crisis is a crisis and a battle you will ever live to fight all the days of your life. And because it doesn't respect your title, it doesn't respect your position, it doesn't respect your possession. Identity crisis is why a lot of people today are victims of depression. People can't define themselves. They allow the social media and they allow others to define them. And so a lot of people actually become only self-conscious of what people say about them and they become depressed. We're losing a lot of our younger generation because of expecting the society to define them. That's why I wrote You Are Special, so that people can really identify who they are.
I think there's a quote by, is it Nietzsche, that says you have to define yourself for yourself or be eaten up by other people's impressions of you or something like that.
Yes, you have to define yourself. I usually say this. If you allow people to define you, they will confine you.
I like that.
Yeah, if you allow people, the society to define you, they will confine you to their own definition. And so, how do you really get who you are? Have you ever thought about it that most times when people have arguments, the first thing they talk about is, who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Tani Baba.
Exactly.
Who's your father?
Who's your father? What do you have? What do you know? Who are you? Who are you is the driving factor behind the reason a lot of people have relationship issues.
There's something I want us to quickly go back to before we continue this trajectory. When we're talking about people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, so it would seem that these people, maybe because of the amount of wealth that they've garnered, they're able to be more fulfilled or they're able to transcend and help. So are you saying that someone who dies poor cannot die fulfilled?
That's why I said it's relative. I use Bill Gates as an illustration because we're talking about when you asked the question, people want to make more money, and I said it's beyond the money. You may not have some resources, but the fact is that are you resourceful? There is difference between having resources and being resourceful. There is difference between not having resources and being resourceful. The fact that you don't have money doesn't mean that you don't have meaning. I've said that before. The fact that you are poor doesn't mean that you are poor. And so what is poor? Poverty, like an acronym, they say, is passing over opportunities repeatedly. Yeah, P, passing, O, over, opportunities and repeatedly. So the fact that somebody doesn't have money doesn't mean he's poor. And so the fact that somebody doesn't have money and he dies poor doesn't mean he's valueless. So how have you been able to use your life with whatever you have to impact the society? For instance, Mother Teresa was not like Bill Gates, was not rich like Bill Gates, and yet
quite impactful.
Quite impactful. In fact, people know more about Mother Teresa than some people that are still living today. Can you imagine?
That's true.
And because of her life of impact.
Okay, so you wrote the first one, You Are Special.
Living Towards Maximum Fulfilment, and then You Are Special.
Okay.
And so let me tell you what happened about You Are Special. I don't know if you heard about this story. Some months ago, some young chaps in the part of a nation, took their friends to a particular, 100-level students took their friends to, they have this, their 100-level, what do you call it now, party, and then they took him out. You know what they did? They drowned the guy. They drowned the guy in the pool. 17-year-old students. Why? The reason why they killed the guy, they said he was taking the shine. That a lot of ladies were following him. He had the resources, the parents were rich, and condolence to their parents and the loved ones. The reason why they did that, because they've not really discovered who they are. At least you remember the story of one of our leaders assaulting a lady, and because he was trying to prove his power. And that is identity crisis.
Wow. Well, it would seem that this is something that I think more Nigerians need to read about your book.
Yeah, so
please, so please check out Mr. Segun Dada. Find him, Living Towards Maximum Fulfillment.
And you are special.
And you're special.
Can I really say something about you are special?
Please, but we have to make it very quick.
Yeah, very short. You are special is part of what I'm using as I have a foundation. My aim of You Are Special is to go into all the secondary schools in Nigeria to actually reorientate our young ones, to make them understand that irrespective of what is happening in the society, in the educational system, that they are really special. So I've distributed a lot of these books. Over 200 copies have been given free.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing
students.
work. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you again for coming to the show.
Thank you.